The governor's office is now asking the state's official government watchdog agency to give them a copy of a report that goes into great detail about the laws and rules investigators say were broken by the Virginia Parole Board as they handled the release of a man who killed a Richmond police officer.
CBS 6 was the first to report on the existence of that 13-page document, which was significantly edited and changed before a shorter version was made public last year. Tonight, we asked the Inspector General's office for an explanation, and Crime Insider John Burkett spoke to the slain officer's sister. John?
Well, Bill, earlier today we requested an interview with State Inspector General Michael Westfall and sent his office a number of questions regarding that 13-page report you were speaking about. We wanted to know if the Inspector General was asked or pressured by anyone to edit it down and remove numerous details about the violations that he says were founded. We didn't get any answers with the OSIG, but the spokesperson for the OSIG indicating the 13-pager was a draft report and that it was released without their consent.
The biggest victim in all of this is Michael, right? Who was robbed of life.
Richmond Patrolman Michael Connor's sister says she's 40-plus years into serving her life sentence, life without her brother. And for the past 7 months, knowing his convicted killer, Vincent Lamont Martin, now walks free, has weighed heavy on the family's hearts.
My mother spoke best when she said the only peace that she's had in her life is that justice was served. We thought he was sentenced to death, and he wasn't.
The Martin parole case is one that has been clouded by controversy after the state's official government watchdog found the Virginia Parole Board, its former chair, Adrian Bennett, and its current chair, Tanya Chapman, violated the state constitution and several laws in their handling of the case. In a more extensive and detailed version of the report that was made public last year, Inspector General Michael Westfall said Bennett tried to get colleagues to falsify a report, and he found that Chapman doctored board meeting minutes, which falls under the law regarding false entries, a Class 1 misdemeanor.
Ms. Bennett had a lot of criticism of our concern over the decisions being made by the parole board.
According to the OSIG report, Dana Schrad, executive director of Virginia Association Chiefs of Police, was on the receiving end of disparaging remarks from Bennett.
Basically, to say that it was unprofessional for us to criticize or to in any way question the decisions or the process of the parole board.
It's a parole board that has come under heavy scrutiny from several lawmakers, members of the law enforcement community, and victims' family members for releasing convicted killers, rapists, and career criminals long before their sentences were fulfilled.
This is very concerning, and that's putting it mildly, to the law enforcement community in Virginia. You know, right now, law enforcement is being held to very high standards by policymakers, by the General Assembly, in our hiring practices, in open investigations, in every other way. We find it really ironic that we can't find the same transparency, accountability, and basically appropriate procedures being followed by this parole board.
The OSIG telling us tonight in a statement, in part, the 13-page document disclosed to the media was released without consent, and they are taking appropriate action to identify the person or persons responsible for disclosing such information. Victims like Michael Connor's sister say they wish they'd spend that energy on cleaning up what they call the board's mess, rather than witch hunting the whistleblower. Adding, the more they hear, the more it takes them back to that cold November night in 1979 when the young Michael Connors was murdered.
The political aspect of this is just bigger than all of us.
And tonight, a spokesperson for Governor Ralph Northam confirms to CBS 6 that current parole board chair Tanya Chapman has filed a complaint with the governor's office against the state inspector general. She also tells us the governor's chief counsel has sent 2 letters to OSIG requesting a copy of the 13-page report. Working for you tonight, John Burkett, CBS 6 News.